motto is we buy used and we save the difference. And so we are being very resourceful for the things that most people would discard. We go to the thrift stores and we always buy used cars. So we're not, we are buying the things that most people would just not be using. I think teaching our children to be helpers and servers, givers instead of takers. And I think this whole idea to say that there are too many children is like saying there are too many flowers.
Everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. How is everyone? Okay, it's Wednesday. We have to do our Duggar update. I haven't done a Duggar video since like last week. We did a whole combination of tons of different topics, and this video might be sort of the same. There's a few things that I wanted to touch on here, but the first is Anna Duggar is apparently having a meltdown about the holidays, and she is still blaming Josh's sisters for her unhappiness in Duggartown. Then, after we talked about Anna, we're going to talk about Jim Bob Duggar. Jim Bob Duggar claiming that he's had a conversation with Jesus. He's gotten closer to God, and he's giving health advice now in a new blog. So Jim Bob comes out of hiding, returns to social media, and he wants you guys to follow his advice. Who else is over here who would take advice from Jim Bob Duggar? Okay. And finally, there might be some shakeups at the Duggar household. I'm not totally sure, waiting on confirmation. If we get to it by the end of the video, we'll see if we get there. If not, it'll be in another video. So let's talk about Anna Duggar and her holidays and her internal fight about Josh Duggar. Is she going to move to Texas? Is she going to stay married? And then we'll get into Jim Bob and his diet. Oh my God. Okay. Before we dive into today's topic, can you please do me a huge favor and consider giving this video a thumbs up? If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking the subscribe button on the way out. It's free for you to do. And make sure to turn the notifications on by clicking on the bell, and leave some comments if you have something to say. Well, it wouldn't be a day in my life if I wasn't thinking about the Duggars. Though the world has been very invested in what's happening with sister wives, we always come back to the fact that the Duggars is the family that continues to give us all kinds of, I don't even know, tea, drama, scandal. It's a nonstop. So the new headline coming from Intouch and their wild and scandalous insiders says that Anna Duggar's future life with Josh doesn't seem attainable. She's just maybe now realizing this because he's not at home. So Anna is going on to her second holiday season without Josh Duggar. Josh just celebrated his first behind bars, and I'm sure it was fabulous. And now, apparently, Anna is trying to figure out what she's going to do for the holidays, and it's not as easy as you would think. Anna made a guest appearance, barely, at the Fall Festival and has spent a little bit of time with the Duggars, though she's not always invited and doesn't attend events because, well, let's face it, some of the people in the family don't want anything to do with her because she continues to stand by Josh. So this is what the source told Intouch. Anna Duggar is considering her path forward amid Josh's imprisonment, as a future life with her husband does not seem attainable. That seems like very loaded language. I feel like whoever the source that's been giving this information is constantly going back and forth, and maybe that's because Anna's going back and forth and doesn't know what she wants. But this is what they said. Anna wishes this nightmare was behind her, but it's not. Josh changed her life in many ways. He gave her a beautiful family, but he also ruined their family dynamic. I'm starting to wonder, is Anna coming to grips with Josh being guilty, or is Anna still on path of Josh is innocent until Josh is innocent and Josh was framed? The last I'd heard was Anna was not on team Josh was guilty. She was still professing his innocence, but we'll see. So apparently she's now realizing that Josh ruined the family dynamic, which the implication here is that she thinks that there's some guilt or that he's done something wrong, which is in contrast to the appeals that are being put out by Josh. Josh still thinks that he was totally set up and framed. Apparently, this is what they also went on to say, is she is devoted to her children. That's her only certainty. Josh has done terrible things, and she's still dealing with that. So is Anna finally coming to grips with what Josh has done? Did it only take a year? Does this help her to have someone in public saying these things about Anna? When Josh's legal team is professing his innocence, this is an incongruence between what Josh's legal team is putting out and what Anna is saying publicly, or what this friend is saying publicly. This doesn't help his appeals process if his wife isn't on his side now. But the implication here is that there's a growing distance in her life now because of Josh's imprisonment. Apparently, she plans to spend Christmas with her in-laws, Michelle and Jim Bob, but her holidays are being difficult. And that's because there's a widening gap and a widening tension and unrest between her and Josh's sisters. Yes, the real victims of Josh, along with the children in the videos, and maybe Anna, but Anna is at odds with the women that actually Josh hurt the most. I mean, maybe Anna's been hurt the most, but why would she be at odds with women that were harmed by Josh's children? I would be pro daughters at this point, but Anna looks at them as the enemy. Why? Because they spoke out after he was arrested. Now, to remind you, all 4 of the sisters have made comments about the sentencing, the arrest, everything. They all agree that Josh was guilty, I believe, and as far as I know, Joy, Jill, and Ginger have all been very obvious in that they believe he's guilty, and Jessa also made a statement about how justice has been, served. But it was more PC than that. So Josh doesn't want her to move, but apparently Anna still does. So there was 2 separate articles using the exact same quotes, but the other one is about the holidays, and she's trying to make the best of raising her children without Josh, and she's getting through these festive months is harder than she thought because what Josh did. The holidays have been difficult. Josh has done terrible things. She's still dealing with that betrayal, but she misses him. Josh is all she knows. They met in 2006. He was a good boyfriend, husband, and dad until he wasn't. Wait, so now Anna Duggar says she's been betrayed. Okay, so she's been betrayed. He's done terrible things, and he ruined their family dynamic. Whoever this source is making it seem like Anna is starting to have questions. Oh, wait, but it changes here because unsolicited opinions on how she should approach her marriage are adding to Anna's holiday stress. The insider says, mixed messages from her inner circle aren't making her life any easier. Mixed messages from her inner circle. So some people want her to get divorced and other people don't. And she says it might be cut and dry and decision for others, but it's not that simple for Anna. Her faith has been tested and she's stronger than people think. So Anna's on the martyr train. So right now she's staying with him because she's a martyr and this is a test from God, and the more tests from God, the greater blessings in heaven. And as long as she sticks by Josh, she'll endure till the end, sort of like polygamy, and get in heaven, and God will say, you did it! Except I don't know a God that would want you to live that way. So some of the things that have come up is that she wasn't shown in photographs from Thanksgiving, but to be honest, they didn't really share a lot of photographs from Thanksgiving. It was literally just a small handful of kids that were playing, like putting a puzzle together. So she wasn't shown there at Thanksgiving in a single photo that was posted on Instagram. And she wasn't at Joanna's gender reveal. And apparently she has gone down to Seagaville to see Josh and her sister and spend time with them, and she's brought the kids, and she's still considering moving there. So Anna is all over the place, from I am the martyr that can endure to the end to life without Josh is unattainable. I don't know, and then she's betrayed. So I don't know. She probably is blaming herself still. So I don't know what's truly going on with Anna. I haven't spoken to anyone. I haven't frankly even asked anyone, because in terms of Anna, until she actually leaves him, I don't know that there's really much of a story beyond what these insiders keep dropping, which is, again, not a lot of anything beyond confusion. So let's talk about Jim Bob. because apparently Jim Bob has decided that he's going to give diet advice to people, and he went on a 40-day fast. He claims that he got fat. I mean, overweight. I don't know. He said he's the heaviest he's ever been. And I don't like to talk about weight, you guys, but this kind of felt like a weird flex for Jim Bob to make, to come back to blogging, to try to tell people about the benefits of fasting and that how he got good answers from God. He literally said he went on a 40-day fast to get prayer and responses from God. Now, fasting is a big thing in the IBLP. Jim Bob has promoted fasting. Jim Bob is of the belief that fasting can cure lustful thoughts, because that's what Bill Gothard says, that if you are hungry, you won't think about other things. The IBLP also says that fasting can help you become more can reduce your slothfulness. It can teach you self-control. You can become more in tune with yourself, and it's all about discipline. And they have all these different, like, literally books about fasting, and Jim Bob and them have done fasting for years. I'm going to just say, like, just because he's doing this, do not try this at home. This seems pretty severe, but this is, I'm just going to give you sort of the highlights. It's kind of ridiculous. So this is what he says. When I got back from Big Sandy, I stepped on the scale after eating a double Sonic cheeseburger and large fry and drinking a cherry limeade on the drive home. Okay, you shouldn't weigh yourself after you eat like 4 pounds of food. And he says, and to my shock, I weighed 232 pounds. I don't like to weight shame. I know that he's gained a lot of weight. I'm sure he doesn't drink, so he's probably been, comforting himself in food since his life has gotten out of control. And he says, this is the most I had ever weighed. I'm fairly tall, just over 6 feet, but I wasn't in shape, and I knew this wasn't a healthy weight for me. Most of the pounds were right in front of me, hanging over my belt. Over the last decade and a half, I have made some unhealthy food choices. We've traveled quite a bit as a family, and it was easy to eat a lot of fast food. While it was convenient, it wasn't good for me. And when I would weigh myself at the end of each year, I'd have put on another pound or 2. Growing up, I'd always been super skinny. So he basically says that he went from being a 29 waist to a 36 waist. It's really bizarre that he's literally giving all these personal details about himself, but he actually won't say a damn thing about what's going on with Josh, the victims of Josh, why he's paying for why he's paying for the defense. But he's literally discussing the amount of pounds he weighs and his waist. Like, I just want to ask you guys, were any of you concerned that he had a 36-inch waist? I wasn't. And he says it was a tight-fitting 36. And he said, I knew I liked food more than I liked working for it. To be fit, I'd have gone through seasons to try to lose weight, but my schedule was so busy and it was hard to be consistent. Food was comforting, especially if I was in the middle of a stressful situation. Okay, so he ran to food, obviously, with everything that's gone on. At times, I would work hard at dieting and exercising for a few weeks and lose a few pounds, but I'd gain it right back after a few days. It was discouraging. So when he gets back from family camp, he basically makes the decision that he needs to fast for a couple days. And the IBLP promotes it for self-control and weight loss and all that stuff. Fasting for weight loss is kind of controversial because while you can lose weight really, really fast, you can also slow your metabolism down. And on top of that, when you're fasting like that, it's very easy to put the weight back on, because once you start reintroducing your body to food, it's easy for the weight to get packed back on. But he basically goes on like a starvation diet, and he only eats beef broth. Like, that's it. He drinks beef broth. So he says that this is why he did it. Over the years, I've seen many spiritual benefits of fasting that Jesus talked about. Whether I'm giving up food for a few meals or even a few days, it's time to draw near to the Lord and to seek out his guidance in prayer. So now he's a monk eating beef broth at home. Many times I have seen God give me clear direction and answer for those prayers. Were any of the prayers that you made was treating your daughters better, not being such a controlling narcissist, how to actually be a loving husband, how to actually respect women, how not to be an enabler of Josh? Were any of those in your prayers? I don't know. He says that Jesus spoke to him during this time. So anyways, Michelle told them that they should do something like with a bone broth. And so they started drinking beef bone broth. And he says that he would drink up to 4 quarts of beef bone broth a day. Now, I did some searching on what that would mean for calories and how much protein. I don't know what kind of beef bone broth he's getting. He claims he's getting it at the grocery store, and he says that he's getting like 32 grams of protein and collagen that helps him satiate his appetite. Anyways, it's going to be fairly high in sodium. I think that's the only drawback here. But he claims he lost 35 pounds in 35 days. And because he was doing so well and he was losing so much weight, he just kept on going. So he says he went from 232 pounds to 197 pounds. And he's going to transition to healthy foods and vegetables after 40 days. And he's going to do some daily exercises. And then he will purpose to steer away from white flour, sugar, and unhealthy fats as much as I can in the future. I may also use bone broth fast. Michelle likes chicken bone broth for a real meal replacement once or twice a day on occasion. After 3 weeks before I started this fast, I looked in the mirror and I asked God to help me find a way to lose weight. I didn't know I had the willpower I needed in this area. And I'm thankful for my wife having this idea. And it was an answer to prayer. So God told him that he cried out to God to lose weight. And so he went on a starvation diet by drinking bone broth for 4 weeks and lost 40 pounds. And apparently he said that he had some great conversations with God, and he also was in fat burning mode and keto. He was in a keto diet, a liquid keto diet, according to him. But then he says he's not a doctor and he's not giving any advice. Oh my goodness. And he says, the physical and spiritual benefits have been many. I've had many special times of prayer over these weeks and have seen my prayers answered. So what prayers were answered? Was it that you're not a good father to your daughters? Was it that your son is finally guilty? Is it, I'm not going to spend all my money on my son that's in the slammer? Was it, I'm going to be a better father, a better human? I'm going to stop being such a narcissist. I would love to know what his prayers were. But long story short, he went on a crash diet. He's lost a ton of weight, and he's doing a flex so you guys know that he's still super godly and maybe kind of, I don't know, righteous. So Jim Bob goes on a crash diet. He is more like Jesus. All right, so Anna Duggar is reevaluating, maybe not reevaluating, and Jim Bob has lost 40 pounds, and he's like Jesus. We'll get to the living situation in a separate video. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.